much I threw every single day.
Of course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working towards winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever.
A hot summer evening here in Surrey, British Columbia to kick off the 2023 Canadian Ultimate Championships in our junior division, located at the Newton Sports Complex on the traditional territories of the Semiahmoo, Katzie, Kwantlen, Quequitlem, Kaikite, and Tsawwassen First Nations. Our showcase match tonight, sponsored by Discraft and BE Ultimate, is from our women's division with BC's Vortex facing off against Team Manitoba. Danny, you might be able to tell I'm a little excited. I'm Clayton Howlett, fumbling a little bit, but I'm ready to go for this game. And I am joined by the one, the only Danny Proby to bring you this showcase game. Danny, how you feeling?
I am just as excited as you. And I would have stumbled too, because we've actually known Team Manitoba as a different name for the past 25 years, but they are now officially called Team Manitoba, but they have that same style that they're always going to be bringing all the time. What are you most excited for?
I got the privilege to watch both of these teams play last year, and they are fast. Yeah. They work hard. You can see right now both teams warming up with these big huddles, this big energy. That is the best way to describe both these teams, I feel, at the outset, is just huge energy. And to lend to that, we have somewhat of an audience.
We do. Yes. It was even getting excited during the warm-up. There was a leg block by somebody on Team Manitoba, and the crowd went wild. Every single huck that was going up, that was completed, crowd going wild. Now, Clay, have you been in a game with this kind of showcase vibes before?
Not these showcase vibes. It was interesting watching at the beginning today. There was some ceremony, like on and off the field. Teams did their best to warm up. But I mean, like you say, even when they've got a crowd cheering on the warm up and making some noise, I mean, like the pressure was on before this game started. And it's going to start here with Team Manitoba pulling the disc from the right side of your screen to Vortex on offense on the left. Vortex in the dark purple, Manitoba in the white. It's a little windy, so let's see how this pull goes. Inbounds. Just
inbounds.
Briantes picks up. Gets it out to the middle, seeing a zone look right off the hop from Team Manitoba. Briantes finds a hole up to a wing, and now Vortex has their run and gun, a pass behind, but it's fielded. Vortex looking ready to play, have some open people as Manitoba melts to a person defense. A trip there and a turn, and I'm not too surprised by that foul call.
Absolutely not. When you kind of get tripped up like that in your middle of your run, I would definitely always expect to hear a foul call. Now, we have an observer here, so the players can opt to just have this conversation, resolve it on their own, or they can go to the observer to ask for either a ruling or for a rule clarification. So we're having a foul contest, so the Frisbee is going to go back to the thrower. So everybody needs to kind of go back to where they were when the foul occurred.
Nanthavong, who was fouled, will send that back to Briantes. Vortex gets into their vertical stack offense. Briantes with the big break, which sets up another for Vortex to take that offensive point. That was
Maya Ma with the score. So she just recently started playing Ultimate, I believe, last year. She goes to the school Mosscrop, and I coached her, and she'd never played before. And then she was like, boom, made the second team in Surrey, and then boom, Vortex this year. And she got to start off this whole game, this whole tournament with the first goal.
It's a good way to punctuate that journey. I love that.
Now, are you surprised to have seen that defense coming down from Manitoba?
Not at all. You know what makes Ultimate really interesting, Danny?
Tell me.
Windy conditions. And I was here at noon today, and it was calm. It was warm, and now it's still really hot, but it's very windy. We've got the wind kind of coming towards where we are standing, which is just underneath the camera, and it seems to be going from our left, moving to our right as well. So it's this weird crosswind going on. So seeing a zone defense, that would be my first call. You kind of want to put that offensive line on their toes, I think, right off the bat, right?
Yeah, and I think like also playing kind of with the stadium where there's things kind of around the field, you do get some swirliness as well. So you saw some of those discs kind of pick up a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Vortex try a little zone of their own.
Yeah, neither would I. Briantes with the laser of a pull goes just out of bounds. So Team Manitoba will bring that to the brick. And we are seeing a zone look from Vortex here. Manitoba trying to move the disc quickly, but only finding the open side right now. Haven't moved it to the break side yet. Vortex has a really tight cup, but a hole is found, but the wind pushes that up into the air. Hard to field by Cruz. So now Vortex has their shot, and Manitoba also drops back into his zone. We saw Briantes do this earlier. A great run-through grab by Vortex, and another player hitting the ground to bring that up. Vortex showing they're not afraid of the wind, willing to grab it right away. And that shot into the end zone. Vortex all over the ground. Wood with a huge grab after a few before that. Danny, I'm looking at Vortex's offense against the zone right now. Briantes finding the over-the-tops with no problem, but that forward momentum is just their game, and they're not afraid to go for it.
Yeah, they're going to hit the deck. This team is completely fearless. They've always been fearless, and it allows for players like Brillantes to be able to take those shots because she knows that her teammates are going to do whatever it takes to come down with it. Now, that was a good almost block by Manitoba as well there, but Vortex just seeming to want the disc a little bit more at this moment. I also want to acknowledge that nice bid by Aquino on that last play. It's just we're going to see a lot of that this game. With the Frisbees kind of going all squirrely everywhere, it's going to be a lot of really exciting plays. Can you hear the crowd cheering? Does it feel like Vortex is a bit of a home team here or what?
I do feel like they're a bit of a home team. I can't really hear you or myself when they're making bids like that.
That's okay.
Yeah. See Coach Stephen He out there giving tips and tricks to his team. I got a chance during the BC Regional Tournament to watch him coach, and the intensity on that sideline of how he's going to set up the zone, quite the strategist. And I'm still thinking we're going to see a zone defense here again.
Probably all tournament.
Probably all tournament, but as it has worked so far and the wind is about the same. Pull a roller. Manitoba A to field it quickly, and that pass seemed to be thrown off balance behind the receiver. Vortex in that vertical stack, looking for a reset. An up the line blade pulls it off. Vortex showing some patience here, and I said something. So Manitoba back with the disc now. So far haven't really shown that they want to sort of attack the break side or through the middle on this zone. Just a lot of small passes on the open side. And looking for the deep shot. Oh, a nice bid by Cruz. And just on the ensuing contact, no call, just needed a moment. That Vortex player to gather herself.
I don't mind that look when the zone is having a hard time kind of working it through to send it to one of your capable receivers downfield.
So Vortex in a side stack opens up a lot of room for just an isolated player on the open side, but some timing issues. A few people cut off, but they go for the patient reset. Nanthevong's pass just a little too short. And again, Manitoba seemingly throw these passes where they're not really stepping into it. They're sort of setting their feet and using their arm to make the pass, and they're just behind the receivers. Ostas finds Awongo. Vortex hitting the ground again. And Huntington's pass somehow received there by Marr, getting around her defender.
That was an incredible catch.
I don't really know how she did that.
I have no idea.
Vortex's zone. Manitoba moving it to the open side. They've had no problem with that run and gun to the sideline, but now once we're on the open side, getting trapped a little bit and then taking the over-the-top shot. But this time, Friesen's able to reel that in. And Vortex can't seem to get that zone on. They've transitioned to match defense. Manitoba now in scoring position at the brick. The red zone, as we like to call it. A shot is taken, but it is too high. Danny, when you're a D-line, as Vortex is right now, while Manitoba did get some opportunities there, this is sort of the kind of point you want, isn't it?
Absolutely. The longer you can keep the other team's offensive unit on the field, the better it's going to pay off in the long run of the game. It might not get breaks right away, but it will get breaks at the end of the game. So this strategy is working.
Manitoba showing their zone again. Ostas is looking for options, elects to go over the top. Good run down to save that as the wind popped it up. Finding that open side reset. Mercado finds that big break. That's what you need in a zone. Get it through those holes. And now Manitoba has to catch up as Vortex is able to run this give-go game now. Woods very patient with that disc, finds the hole now. Vortex can run it down. Mercado with the disc, wide open. She's got lots of time. Puts it out to Awongo. Not quite in. Good patience there not to take that shot to quadruple coverage and gets the reset. And now Vortex can run that vertical stack system that's gotten them a goal every time so far. Ovstas looking for options. And finds one, two. Woods. I'm not sorry, Woods. Panganiban, but it's ruled a goal. I think they were asking if it was in or not.
Looked in from where we are. Now, I really want to commend this Vortex D-line offense because you see Ovstas kind of running the show, but able to actually cycle and leave the handling space as well. Other people are filling into that space, and they're moving the disc really effectively. We're seeing a lot of really nice deep shots kind of down along the line, just finding open receivers. I'm very impressed with this D-line's offense right now on this Vortex side.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that, especially at a junior level. I started playing as an adult, and I remember when I got hidden on D-line, if you will, go get the D, but then you don't need to catch it after that. Just go do your job. But here, this D-line from Vortex, everybody's involved, right? Valuing every player's contribution is also tough for a tired O-line. That
Absolutely.
Manitoba's got to go defend them now, and they haven't scored anything yet. And it's just every player on D-line contributing. I mean, you're typically your stronger line, your more surefire line of your O-line not coming out there. The D-line's like, no, we got this as a unit. That's huge.
We did see a couple O-line players for Vortex crossing over onto that D point to try to help them punch it in. But in general, yes, I totally agree. For Manitoba, this is the type of game that is kind of stressful. You're playing against a team that is clearly the home team. The warm-ups are a little bit disjointed. You're kind of being distracted by silly commentators asking you questions and everything. So you're kind of living in your head potentially. If you're the coaches of Manitoba right now, what are some keys to success you'd be trying to do to get your team to live back in their bodies and outside of their heads a bit?
Well, I feel like what I've seen from the, let's say, the non-frustration throws.
Yeah.
Right in the zone here has just been a lot of, I just got the disc. I might be hesitating a little bit. My feet are set. I'm not using my hips to throw, and I just stretch out with my arm. And those throws, because there's nothing behind them, they just keep going behind the throw. So I'm definitely thinking as a Manitoba coach right now, just throw how you know how.
Yeah.
The Vortex doesn't, quote unquote, deserve there's those turnovers. It's just we're just not doing our fundamentals, and there could be a myriad of reasons for that. The other thing I would say, I want to see Manitoba break the cup. That is to say, throw against where those surrounding players are. Don't take the easy pass over to the sideline. If you're a zone and in the cup, those three players up front and players, you're defending, start moving it to that open side, throwing it where you want them to, you're like, all right, keep it going, please. You're making my job easier.
Yeah.
that is, I believe right now, Manitoba's key to get through the zone is take those break shots. Briantes picks up, often just directing traffic in that end zone.
Bit of a
But-
miscommunication there between McIntyre and Brillantes. Just wanting to pop the disc in right into the hands, right at the front of the stack.
Herms gets it moving to Cuvalier, but her pass does not connect. So Aquino is going to pick up a vertical stack. Briantes initiates, gets that short pass, and goes for a big break throw cross field. The wind kicks that up. And a great catch by number 13, but observer Linda Kudo immediately indicating that is out the back of the end zone, out of bounds. Herms looking for options. Finds a small dish pass in the middle for a little give-go, gets it back. Danny, I'm seeing something interesting here. I'm not seeing players with the disc look left.
No, I think that they're playing a little bit in a fear headspace right now where they're trying to find the easier option right in front of them. And it worked that time.
It worked that time.
That was definitely not the easiest option.
Cuvalier puts it up, and that just doesn't come back, so that was never in. She had an opportunity there, but Vortex is going to get the disc. Right in front of our booth here, you can see the tiny orange pylon that observers Dom St. Jacques put down, and Vortex immediately calls a timeout, and that was called by
Kinsey. But I'm just curious because the disc was put down near the end zone, but the observer puts a beanbag for where the disc actually went out of bounds. So I'm curious if they're going to be taking the disc where the timeout was called versus where the observer put the beanbag.
Are you teeing me up to talk about a rule I don't know right now?
I would never do that to you.
No, that's a good question. I'm curious too. I think because the disc was never actually brought
Inbounds.
it wasn't as if it was brought to that cone and then called. It was called from out of bounds, and we have that indicator that I believe it'll come up to the cone.
I was under the impression that you had to call timeout once you were
Tapped
back
in.
in play. So I am kind of curious. We got some fact checkers out there that I know love to give us all of the rules. So if you know, hit us up on social media. I'm Danny Proby.
Yeah.
And you're Clayton.
If Andrew Batchelor's watching, just hit us up. He'll know what's up.
One thing I do want to say is the person who called that timeout, Kinsey, I've been coaching that particular athlete since she was 8 years old. So she's been playing Ultimate for a long time. So you see the rule come into play here. She had 10 seconds or something to bring the disc in, and she didn't quite get to the beanbag.
Yeah. Now, I understand. I've just been informed we cut out for a little bit. So, Danny, it's possible we've been talking to ourselves for a little while. That's fine, but I think we're back. And if you haven't been with us for a little while, Team Manitoba has been struggling offensively to deal with Vortex's zone. We're not seeing a lot of break shots. And just on an opportunity and on a strike here, Manitoba's throw just went out of bounds. The wind kind of pushed it out, and Vortex now with an opportunity halfway up the field. Kinsey finds Briantes, who decides to go right back over the top to her, and Kinsey just loses that in the wind. St. Mars picking up, looking for options, take that break shot. And while the first receiver fell over on a short trip, Enerson was there to save the day. St. Mars still looking for options, finds a break to Cuvalier. There's a stoppage.
A pick call. Great mark by Aquino, though, on that last possession.
And we're back in. Vertical stack offense here by Manitoba. St. Mars up the line, makes a huge bid and a huge grab, but it was just out of bounds. Well, that was Herms, pardon me. Herms, great bid. Oh, and that off the hands of Briantes. Can't get it back on the second effort. So now St. Mars will pick up. Finds a break around.
Nice
And-
around throw. That is Manitoba on the board now. We have Muth getting the score there. I knew there was obviously a miscue, and that throw to Vortex went a little bit behind. Manitoba was able to gain some yards on that miscommunication, and they were able to punch it in. All right, how are you feeling now? Manitoba's on the board. They've probably relaxed a little bit, right?
Oh, man. If you're in Manitoba right now, do you feel that weight coming off your shoulders and you're a player out there saying to yourself, okay, we can score. We can do this. That getting that first one can be so, after that sort of run at the beginning of the game, the stress just keeps building. And now, score 3-1.
3-1.
And 2-point game. Vortex did start on offense. They've got 2 breaks, but 85 minutes is a long time.
And it's juniors.
And yeah, so it's, the ebb and flow of that energy can be back and forth. And I mean, we saw Vortex come out with so much fire, and they are the home team. They got that support, but definitely Manitoba now able to take a breath.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge Herms on that point. I think when you're down 3-0, to be putting your body on the line and making the types of plays that Herms is making just really helps your whole team kind of relax, be like, okay, we got this. We know what to do here. It's just great leadership from the Team Manitoba captain. So we get another look, or our first look at the Manitoba D-line.
No, they did start the game on D.
Our second look at the Manitoba D-line.
Yeah, our second look here. They came down with the zone.
Yes.
On that first point.
And Vortex had no problem slicing and dicing through the zone.
Yeah,
but
and they've put it back again and again. I've kind of got in my mind, I'm like, here's what I would do, because, I like to sometimes pretend I'm a pro. But any kind of defensive thing where you're thinking, if it wasn't zone, I would want to see
blank.
Yeah.
I like a little bit of a straight up force when the weather's a little bit like this. Those are kind of fun, because when you're forcing these lateral passes with the way that the wind is going kind of across and down the field, those normal passes, swing passes, are not as easy as they normally are. And if you can get a turnover on a swing rather than a huck, that's much, much more advantageous.
Yeah. So we'll see, but I guess they couldn't hear us. The experts over here.
The coaches are right here. They can maybe hear us.
So it is zone defense again. Vortex finding those breaks and taking that swing to the break side immediately and working it all the way around. Good discipline on offense there in a zone offense to get that disc all the way to the break side, and then just take the free options here up the field, 2-3 yards at a time. Oh, and an unfortunate drop by Payne. Manitoba with an opportunity to make a break shot. Cuvalier goes for the up the line pass. That will sail out of bounds. Coach Jeske trying to hurry his players over here to do something immediately. Manitoba coming in with the zone. Payne's pass gobbled up in the middle by Cuvalier. Cruz had Cuvalier open, but that pass just slightly behind. And Ovstad's believing in her receiver. It was so close.
I like that look, and I think that now you also have a Manitoba team that's got to work it all the way back up the field.
Yeah. Maz bid. She's hit the ground a few times. Cuvalier with the big up the line cut. Her pass will go over the top. Wood with that defensive play.
Oh, big bid.
And another big bid by Ma. Cruz. Her pass just slightly behind Cuvalier. They have a quick check-in. Now they're back on D. Vortex really chilling out here, walking up to the disc, letting their offense get set. It's an offset vertical. They like to look at the front first. good scoop cut by Ostas there, but throw too high.
I would like to see both these teams work to throw it at the receiver a little bit more. I know it's tempting to try to lead because you're afraid of the defender, but you got to give them a chance.
Manitoba now with a few good gains off 2 passes. Cruz up the line. And like you say, that leading pass, again, it's kind of just being thrown into traffic.
We call them tummy ticklers on traffic. You got to throw it right at the gut. Give them every chance they can to catch it.
Cuvalier picks up. We're seeing a match defense by Vortex here. Cruz up the line. Looking for options. No one back with her. She'll need a dump. And
leading
Tortorek,
pass.
Yeah, Tortorek coming back for that leading pass, but it just kind of a laser too far. Vortex's side stack not active. We're about stall 5. Some cutters looking a little tired out there. Cruz has been quarterbacking this offense. She'll pick up. No dump, though. Someone from the front of the stack comes back. Was Yackel, who just bounces off the hands, unfortunately, while her cut was open. Gutierrez running a give-go.
Yeah, when it's windy like this, the fundamentals become even more important. If you have to catch, or if you can catch the pancake or crocodile style, it is much safer in this wind because the disc will drop last second on you, and if you're trying to catch with your thumbs down or your thumbs high, you're more likely to drop it than if you can catch pancake. So stepping out on the throws, as you said, throwing at the receivers, catching pancake if you can.
Cruz looking for options, doesn't like her first reset. Goes for the second. It's Cuvalier, who finds a break pass.
Wow.
And then good run down to get that up the break side. Lots of options here for Manitoba now. They get it back to the middle. And Yackel's pass, that blade facing
right
downwards on our side here. Just the
Yeah.
wind just pushed that right over.
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough as a receiver too because you don't really actually get that much time to assess where it's going either. Looks like there's an injury on the field. As you can see, the players either taking a knee or using the injury hand signal, which is putting your hands together over your head.
It's been a long point.
Very long.
And, well, coach is out there with his player, Kowajeski. Coach, he's coming in. Danny, our crowd is still out in force. I'm looking around. I'm seeing teams. I'm seeing families. I'm seeing other spectators. It's I don't think I've seen this many people watching a game that's not a final. I don't think I've ever seen this.
No, the atmosphere is electric, they would say. Now, if you had an injury on another team and you were coaching Manitoba, would you sub out one of your players too? Because you're allowed to. Would you automatically do that?
I would definitely ask. I don't think any junior player would be like, yeah, I'll take a sub, thanks.
But fresh legs.
I would make them. I would
Yeah.
try and find a fresh legs and say to that person, I need you to take over one of the hardest positions right now, one where we have the most running. That's off Ostaf's hands. So Manitoba has an opportunity, and that pass, I feel like Cuvalier was open, but that was a really quick decision and just thrown quite hard low. So Manitoba is throwing a zone defense still. Vortex is doing a great job moving that side to side, keep that cut moving, and they find a hole in the middle and then show some patience. That pass bounced.
Yeah, it just bounced off the turf. Sometimes you, as a player, you don't necessarily see it. It could be a little bit confusing, but
Cuvalier's pass grabbed by Graham. Graham back to Cuvalier. Cuvalier showing some patience, goes to Cruz. But that's defended by Ma, who's just streaking deep. The crowd wanting that choice made to
I
send
wanted that
it.
choice too. And I know Payne here has a really nice flick bomb, so I wouldn't be surprised if she unleashes one soon.
Payne showing good patience and going over top of the cup to Offsus to Ma. Wow, a huge catch there by Wood. The cup getting a hand on that one. And now Manitoba's cup slowing down. And is that the throw you were talking about, Danny? Payne finds Sang on a huge backhand huck. I believe you just said that Payne might have a big throw.
I said flick, though, but I mean, IO backhand works too. I also had the pleasure of being able to coach Payne during the high school season last year with Ma as well. And basically our play would be Ma to Payne, or Payne to Ma, rather. Just send Ma deep. She's incredibly fast. Payne has such nice touch on her throws. That was just to kind of have that execution at the end of a super long point like that. It's not typical in juniors. Usually you get tired, you get excited, you get tight, and you overthrow. So that composure at the end of a long point, I'm here for it.
Absolutely. It's so difficult to hold on to that when you're thinking, I want this point to end. And then you force that throw, right?
Even adults do that.
I don't know what you're talking about. So Vortex leading 4-1. And their D-line
it might be 5-1. 4-1. You're right. It's odds. Yeah. If the screen is on Vortex, they have a cool little cheer that they do right before they pull.
That pull, big IO backhand is going to swell. No. So we're looking good. Sails out of bounds. Judging by positions on the field right now, I'm thinking Vortex is throwing a zone D here. And they are.
We're going to be seeing a lot of zone this week.
Yeah. So we've seen Manitoba move the disc well to the open side, has those give goes. Now here we are on the trap sideline, and they need to get it off. Over the top or break throw. Vortex just clamping down here. Running out of time. Over the top. Finds something, and Manitoba breaks out. Briantes, though, with the speed, is able to get the run through D. Siriban. Her over the top throw has the wrong edge on it. Away from her receiver. Russell. Big throw just out of the reach of Briantes. And Manitoba brings it down for a huge hold.
That was incredible. Again, composure. We see Brillantes there kind of hunting to try to get a block. And normally my game plan, if I were Team Manitoba, would be to throw it not near Brillantes, but the wind just popping it up over her hands, and it sailed right into the hands of the receiver. So we are 4-2 right now. Manitoba just got back on the board again. So after a bit of a shaky start, they seem to have settled down a little bit and having a little bit more fun even. I think that's really important. If you're a juniors coach or if you're a juniors player, usually the more fun you're having on the field, the more relaxed you are, the more the fundamentals kind of come back and you're back in your body again.
Yeah, save the yelling at each other for Masters Ultimate, everybody.
Oh my gosh. Wait, are you speaking from experience?
No. Are you?
Well, I don't yell. I give looks.
So the wind is about the same. Still cross field, pretty gusty, pretty strong. We're seeing the effects. It has not died down, but I would say that right now, Manitoba would be on the quote-unquote hard side, Vortex on the easier side where you're able to huck with more ease.
Do you prefer throwing or playing upwind or downwind? Because I think it's different as you get older.
Yeah. When downwind, it means I have to run harder, so.
That's fair.
Briantes picks up, backhand huck immediately. And while that seemed to be sailing to Nathvong, it was just too much of a bladey throw to stay in the air.
I like that look, though. Kind of keeps Team Manitoba on their toes a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously they're ready to set up a zone right away.
Muth with the disc goes over top. And that over-the-top throw we've seen again and again, really hard to bring down, especially against an athletic team like Vortex that's willing to chase everything down. Briantes with the immediate give-go, but that pass from number 44, the Menyo, is too low. Vortex right in their zone. They're just need to bring the disc back to where it went out of bounds. The force is to their home side, our away side here. Manitoba, I like this, looking for some breaks. They find it, but still like to go over the top. Hard edge to catch. And Briantes again goes for the huck, but a big hand block. Looked like a hurt. Number 9.
Gotta be pretty pumped after that if I were you.
Yeah.
You would never do that, though.
I'd never throw hand blocks directly into people in Kelowna. Manitoba stuck on this sideline. This is not the place where they really want to be and have to make throws like that, but just off the fingers of Rutledge. Aquino finds Briantes, who starts directing traffic. Found a hole, but that throw with the blade facing into the wind like that is just pushed down right away, and Vortex sets up their zone. Muth to Enerson, and Briantes picking off those errant, lofty throws. Speaking of which, a huge catch by Vortex. That bring down. That was Nanthapong.
Aquino.
Yes, excuse us, Aquino.
Can we talk about a little bit of drippiness there, the swag when she caught that?
Oh yeah, this is my business. Excuse me, everybody. I'll just do my thing.
The one thing though about that is what I liked is that Aquino didn't drop the disc before there was the acknowledgement from the observers, because I've seen that go the other way sometimes where somebody thinks that they're in, or maybe they were in, but the observers don't call them in. They spike. Now it's a turnover, and you look
silly.
You look a little silly, and that may or may not have happened to traffic twice in the last 2 years.
Oh wow. Oh, okay.
So it does happen. So I actually appreciated the stare down of the observer waiting for the goal signification with the hands, and then the swaggy drop.
Honestly, if you hold on to it for a little bit longer, more swag. So our score, 5-2.
I don't mind the huck and pin. We're going to see a lot of that. Is that a strategy that hurts your soul a little bit, or would you employ that as a coach?
If it's going to win me the game, I'll employ that as a coach.
That's what that was.
Yeah, it was. That's the huck and zone, huck and pin. As some of you may know, that's just as soon as you get the disc, just put it in the other team's end zone and make them work for it. When the wind's in your favor, and you've shown that you don't need to do that, but now you're really trying to take control of the game, you might as well use that tactic. So that pull lands in bounds. Manitoba now on the side where the wind gives them an advantage in their long throws. Quickly moving it through the zone, finding a hole. That pass off the hands and defended by Payne. She finds a wide open up the line cut. That was out of bounds. Tar finds Ashley. Gets it to Russell, who's got a wide open receiver, and it's just misread a little bit in the wind by Friesen. Woods looking off some options, working hard for that break. What looked like a hand block.
Hard to tell from where we are whether there's a hand block or whether
or from
a foul.
Friesen. Pardon me. Yeah, I agree. I didn't hear any hand-on-hand contact.
Hear anything.
It is a little windy, and with the crowd, yeah. So that's contested. Woods will keep it. And this time connects with Payne. And Payne puts up a big backhand, immediately gets high. And Manitoba is able to defend that tar with the bring down. Or Ashley, sorry. Ashley with the bring down. And then as Manitoba works it down the field, they're just unable to keep that pass in bounds. Payne picks up, goes over the top, looking for Woods, getting scary. You can see Woods there. I think Danny was a little rushed, worried about a Callahan opportunity.
Callahan country over here.
So Ashley, not Tar, but Ashley will pick up. Vertical offense, first cut straight up the line. Now the front working hard. Ashley ran out of time, and I believe it was a stall down or the turnover called. Wood signaling, it doesn't matter, I think.
I mean, they're going to have to resolve it. They're not going to be able to just say either way. There's a call being made. All right, so just a turnover, not a stall down.
Okay, Manitoba dropping into his zone. Freezing on the mark, probably looking to get that hand block back. Oh, a great save by Vortex, as these errant throws in the end zone are pretty scary. As for those of you, if you don't know, if you catch it on defense in the end zone you're trying to score in, it's an automatic point. Oh, and Payne basically preventing exactly what I'm talking about from happening
so
there.
Close, though.
Didn't feel like she could catch it, but was like, I'm not letting Manitoba catch it in the end zone here. And they're able to punch it in. St. Mars just with the goal there as that's punched in by Manitoba. Our score now 5-3 as we're seeing a lot of goals down here on the side of the field where the wind is pushing us.
Imagine that. Yeah, after the first couple points, we've kind of settled into trading, essentially, which is kind of a little bit more what you'd expect with a strong wind going one direction on a field. It is definitely easier for teams to punt it this direction, as you saw Vortex trying to. They were in what we call the coffin corner, which is going upwind and in the corner of the field on our kind of close side here on the right side of your screen. We saw the Vortex player there just trying to punt it as far as they could, and it didn't even quite get to half, versus Team Manitoba able to sail some stuff going the other direction, full field, and set up the zone right away. So it is kind of going more the way I thought this game would go now that they've settled down.
I would say, too, just watching Team Manitoba in their huddles after the points and everything, high fives, cheers, people have their heads up. Feedback from their coaches was that is a positive team. It's built on positivity. And I think after going down in that 3-0 run, they're back now. The confidence is there. They're willing to play. And you expect that more, too, like when teams are trading. That shows that both teams, like, are working, right? Yeah. Manitoba's not letting Vortex run it up the field to the upwind side anymore. They're playing that defensively with confidence if that happens. So see if they can get a break, much-needed break here to bring the game within one. That pull will land inbounds just beyond the brick mark. And the side stack offense again from Vortex. Briantes, the initiating cut. And Cruz has no problem with the read on that one and gets a quick pass off to Cuvalier. And this backhand is just going to go out of bounds. Thiesen's not able to rein that in.
I thought I kind of heard a slap on that throw, but there was no call.
Okay, zone by Manitoba. Gutierrez looking for options. Finds one to Aquino. I like how Vortex is lining up behind the disc here, looking for kind of the quick resets behind, not always giving it up to that force side on the open side, and then working hard for that break, but that break throw just executed as a blade, and the wind is just like, thanks.
That's just such a challenging throw, and we have Manitoba now on the doorstep of getting their first break.
So Cruz has been picking up and doing a lot of handler work. She's got Herms in the back with her. I think Herms is going to go up the line off the hop. And she does. And I'd argue she was open, but too much traffic there. And there's a call on the throw, a stall down by Briantes, and it's contested. Thank you so much for using hand signals, Briantes. If you watch this later, makes our lives a lot easier.
Shout out. That did seem like a really fast 10.
I would agree. It did
Because
seem
it was
fast.
only one cut.
Yeah.
So,
Although I wonder if sometimes what happens is, it is sometimes an error by maybe the person who has a disc of letting that disc get tapped in and not really waiting to see if their teammates are aware.
like the cutter didn't go right away.
Yeah, maybe
That's
everybody
true.
starts moving at stall 4 because they didn't know it was in. So I wonder if that could have occurred. But otherwise, that did seem really quick.
I am curious, though, in Manitoba's end zone here, if it's supposed to be led by the reset. So we saw the reset and the front of the stack both kind of cutting into the same space. And I'm not sure. I haven't seen enough of their end zone to know, but I believe the reset is supposed to have that space first. So there was a little bit of a miscommunication there.
Stall coming in at 8. So we're going to see a quick pass. Cruz is already looking at the stack. But
Stall down again.
I disagree. It's
Go tell
stalling
him, Clay.
8, 9, and then the T of 10, which is 1, 2, 3. And that seemed faster than 3 seconds to me. That's my hot take for the day.
Well, it's
And
not
I know
quite
best
3
because I'm here
seconds.
on the sideline. That's
It's
true.
like 2 and a bit seconds.
2 and a bit, yes. But that's contested again. And this is coming in on 6.
6.
Cruz goes right away. That backhand, without an edge on it, just sails into the ground. Aquino picks up against this Manitoba zone.
It's that
The throw
same
goes up
throw.
high.
Oh.
And bouncing off some hands is fielded by Briantes. Her laser of a throw can't be brought in by Sang. Cruz electing not to pick up. Has Herms pick it up. Cuvalier right up the line, sensing an opportunity in the first break by Team Manitoba. A huge break down on the upwind side of the field to get back in this game. We're within 1. The energy from Manitoba, huge.
And now, okay, the best part about getting that upwind break is now they're going to be going downwind on the next point. So Vortex now has to try to get an offensive hold going upwind, which is a really tough spot to be in, given the fact that there have only been 3 goals going this direction.
Yeah, they haven't
total.
done it in this direction yet, right? They've only been D-line,
Yes.
moving up the field and moving uphill, if you will. So this is the first time that their O-line will have to perform that way. I mean, they've done it before, and we did see earlier, too, some crossover
Yes.
on the offense and defense. So perhaps it'll be a little bit easier, but yeah, I'm wondering if we're going to see a huck and pin.
I mean, that's it seems to be working is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But the thing that I do love about watching juniors ultimate at this level is that sometimes if you play really, really high level adults, if you're up 3-0, usually that's kind of the game. Not always, but the likelihood is a lot less that a team's going to be able to get back into it when you have that many breaks kind of at the beginning of a game, because offenses are usually just so good at the elite level, and the offenses are good here, but it's so windy and there's so many exciting plays and blocks and then turnovers that no lead is safe in juniors is what I'm saying. So sometimes you might see a game being like 5-0 and then you might tune out and then that team may have lost. So you always want to stay tuned. The momentum shifts are wild in juniors. It's so exciting.
Yeah. And just as you say that, I mean, we're seeing that energy come back from Manitoba now, and I haven't heard much noise from Vortex, right? So we're already seeing that shift of momentum in the energy here. I'm sure Vortex will come out with a fiery quick line here. But seeing an O-line right now with a lot of players we've seen, but a few of the stars sitting right now. For example, I don't see Briantes out there.
One thing that I find interesting, one of the star handlers on this Vortex O-line is actually from Kelowna. So she was playing in the Helios program before and actually has been a travel player. So comes down for weekend practices and has been staying here in order to kind of be able to play with other players that are more her age and to get different types of coaching. And so it's amazing that someone like that can not be from here, not practice with the team as much as everybody else, and slot in really nicely to this offensive unit. You can see her break throws in the zone are just really helping their offense move.
This pull by Manitoba, while low, is going to make it down to the brick, and there's no immediate fielding by Vortex. So Manitoba is able to get this cup on right away as Payne picks up. Interesting shift in this cup, really forcing the sideline. It's almost a solid wall across the side to get it to this open side, keeping it here with Payne. You can see Manitoba really respecting that big throw that Payne has had, and Herms with the run through D, foul called immediately by Ostas, and Herms agrees. So Ostas will get the disc back. Goes back to Payne. Little give-go action. Ostas looking for a hole, can't find it. Goes for the open side. Reset to Payne. Payne goes over the top backwards. We'll see an immediate swing to get that zone moving. Good tactic by Vortex to keep the disc moving across or finding those holes. We're just seeing Vortex handlers run so hard to make sure that cup doesn't get set up. But this errant throw into the end zone is bodied out by Manitoba. That's Muth, or Moose, as her team likes to call her, I was told. Does a give go up the line. She's going to get it back. Looks for the huck opportunity. It wasn't there. Looking for Herms up the line. No options, running out of time. But she finds an up the line scoop reset. Enerson found Herms off the front, but it just bounces off Herms' hands. Payne running up to the disc to get it moving. Seeing this wall of a zone, this wall of a cup from Manitoba right now, really trying to stop that swing, which has been Vortex's strength. So that throw going up, exactly what Manitoba wanted to see. And there's a call. It looks like Payne's taking a knee. We're going to see what this is all about. And it is an injury call. So Coach Jeske able to join her immediately, and we'll just hope she's all right.
One thing that I like when Vortex opts to throw the kind of over-the-top passes forwards, those seem to be working. Anytime that they've been trying to throw either through the cup or over the top backwards, the wind has just been picking it up and making it really challenging. So I think that if they kind of continue to make those pop passes, that's a throw that not a lot of juniors that I've seen have, but obviously it's been something that Vortex has been working on. Do you know what I'm talking about? The little like the little elevator backhand pass. What do you call it?
Yeah, that just pop over the top. Yeah.
Those have been quite effective. I think a lot of juniors learn how to just throw the kind of classic step out, low release around, but these kinds of throws are just so useful in the zone. And I think that in the last point especially, we saw some really spicy IO flicks coming through the zone and not quite connecting.
So Briantes will come on for Payne. And she's able to walk off under her own power, under supervision of Coach Jeske. Manitoba on offense. Herms picks up. The scoop cup off the front of the stack has been working for Manitoba, and it works again, going for the quick punch, but that spicy pass just sails out of bounds. Briantes quickly picks up and just punts it. I'm thinking that quick throw, the receiver was there. I'm wondering too, Danny, if that's still part of the strategy.
Absolutely. You know, Brillantes can really put it deep, and they gave them a lot of yards.
Manitoba with some open receivers. Hargraves goes for the path, but Briantes with the big hand block and takes off. Unfortunately, no one to pick up as she was gone. Ostas sees it and just says go and puts it out for Briantes to get the... It's not going to quite be in, and just over the top.
Great second attempt.
Right off the fingertips. Wow. No chance did I think she was going to touch that. That was amazing. Herms is going to pick up for Manitoba. And is able to get that break pass to Muth that has been so needed in this game against Vortex. Oh, and that leading pass just a little too far when pushing it out of bounds. Wostas. Briantes with the quick jab step. Server signal in. And Vortex able to get that hold upwind.
Kind of low energy, though, still from Vortex. Like, they just got that offhand hold. I'd be like rushing the field. They're still a little bit rattled, do you think?
Perhaps. Too, it's also hard at sometimes peak twice. Their energy at the beginning of the game was kind of off the charts.
It was off the charts. They had the whole crowd with them as well. The crowd has calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, still tons of people here. But it's just all that cheering for every single completed pass or big play has kind of gone away here. And, Briantes making a really great fake to just juke her defender. I mean, that was a fantastic cut. And the crowd was, satisfactory.
Yeah, they were into it. Yeah. They were into it. One thing I think Manitoba seems to have adjusted on a lot of their upline throws. I'd say 80% of them now they're throwing with a lot of touch, a little bit more outside in edge, and they're throwing them more at the receiver. So they're actually stringing together a series of upline passes now. Obviously, we've had a couple turnovers when they're throwing them a little bit too leady, but I love that they've made that adjustment. Now, we're supposed to have a halftime cap at 45 minutes.
And it looks like that's what's happening as we're watching observer Dominic Saint-Jacques throw the disc down to the other side of the field here. So after 45 minutes, we do finish the point.
We are at 56 minutes after 5. So I think it must have been before that point, and that point just happened to last a really long time.
Yeah. So we are going into half. I believe we'll be taking a short break, and we'll be back with you after halftime. Welcome back to the second half of our showcase game in our women's junior division. Team Manitoba versus BC's Vortex. Manitoba starting this half on offense. The score 6-4. 6-4, thank you.
Clay can't read my chicken scratch writing, which is offensive.
We've seen this zone from Vortex in the first half. Really tight, really trying to stop any break throws, forcing a lot of these up high errant throws. But Manitoba able to bring that one down. And Russell elects to go back over the top to Burns. Burns showing some patience, looking to reset. Back to Russell. Russell looking for options. He's able to find Tar.
Ashley,
excuse me.
you really want that person to be Tar, though.
I do. I've mixed them up. So Ashley's throw a little high. Briante is able to jump the gap there and kind of fool everybody out of jumping themselves, force that turnover. Now she herself is trapped on the sideline. And that over the top, Danny, you were talking about that in the first half. That over the top sideways has been a lot of turnovers.
Oh, my.
So Briante is going right over the top of Friesen. This is an interesting foul call.
Why is it interesting, Clayton? Tell us.
Because that defensive effort was huge, but there was no way Briante was not causing contact and landing on top of Friesen.
Yeah, so there's allowed to be contact as long as it's minor and after the disc is touched first. So if you're kind of preventing the person from getting to the Frisbee, and then that would be a legitimate foul call.
So it is contested. Russell finds Ashley. Ashley showing patience. Well, and a little bit of contact in the lanes. So this throw won't count. Now, here's another interesting thing, Danny. Manitoba's going to retain possession here. I think.
Because of the pass continuation rule?
Yeah, I believe that first foul happened before the throw.
Yes.
And then the throw went around to Tar, but after that, you have to stop the play, and that throwaway was after the disc was dead.
Yes, agreed. So disc going back to Ashley right now.
And that up the line pass, not quite in. Close. Manitoba shows some patience here. They are so close, don't want to make a mistake, but they're able to punch that in. A huge point out of half. Ashley with the goal.
I know it sounds like we're saying a first name, but that is the last name. We would not say first names here. We are professional here with Ultimate Canada.
Yeah.
Ashley is their last name. I like if people have two first names as names. Yours is a last name, though. Mine's also a last name.
It is.
Nobody would be called
We're not exciting.
No. How conventional. Well, how excited are you if you are a Manitoba fan? I'm sure we got a lot of people from Manitoba tuning in that couldn't be here in person.
They are.
So
I know this.
How do you know this?
Because last year we had a huge contingent of parents on the sideline.
Ah.
And they were listening to Theo and I called the game. So every time we made a mistake, we were aware basically immediately. And 10 people would tell us at the same time. I didn't get any, scolding by the cowbell, but there was a lot of cowbell, more cowbell.
Do you think there are any of the parents? There's probably parents from Manitoba that are actually here present today. They gotta be. They would make the trip. If my kid was playing and I didn't have like a real job that I had to I have a real job. Sorry. I have a real job. But if I had a job where I could take time off of work during the work week to go watch my kid play Frisbee, heck yes, I'd do that.
Yeah, well, they did. They did in Brampton. So I'm assuming we definitely have some Manitoba parents here cheering them on. At the very least, maybe a chaperone or two.
One thing I like about what's happening with Manitoba right now is that whenever there's the disc goes up in the air, whether they're on offense or defense, they seem to have this attitude that it's theirs, and they're going up for it with two hands strong now, and it's really working out for them.
Herms is pulled down to the brick mark. Ostas picks up and finds Woods. We're seeing a zone look again from Team Manitoba. And supported by Kinsey in the back. Vortex just continues to move this disc quick, looking for holes through the middle. And after about 2 or 3 looks, it's dump time. Kinsey finds a hole to Ostas in the middle. Kinsey again showing great use of negative space to move that disc a little bit backwards to get the immediate gain far past any of the defenders. Ma finds Kinsey. Manitoba's transitioned to match defense, a little bit of a bump. There's no call on that bump. Everybody stopped, but if the receiver doesn't make a call, it's just play on. Probably a smart move by Velasquez. That unfortunately just bounces off the hands of Nanthabong.
Bit of a spicy throw, big wind up on that throw, not able to be reeled in.
Cruz looking for Herms, but another spicy throw, if you will.
Or just too leady. We're kind of like broken record here.
So Woods has done a really good job, I think, this game of taking her time, getting up to the disc slowly to let her team get set up. And then there you see, once everyone's ready to go, she's like, all right, let's roll. Looks off that up the line cut. And a nice juke by Ma. And Vortex gets the hold. So our score now is 7-6.
7-5.
7-5.
Still can't read my writing.
Still can't read your writing.
There's a
We will
dash
get it
here
figured
because that
out.
was halftime. I was just doing like a hash, so ignore that line.
We'll
Ignore
get it
that
figured
line.
out, Danny.
Well, that's at least the second goal for Ma here. And I know that sometimes when you are a cutter, it can be kind of boring to play zone offense. It's not really your time to shine, but Ma's still finding ways to help the team finish the point in the end by catching it in the end zone. She's fast. She's going to win her matchups one-on-one, but in the zone, you kind of just got to find pockets and holes.
And like we were saying earlier about Vortex, still ready to always use every player. No one's being hidden out there. No one's not a piece of the puzzle, right? There's no outcast. Every single player is able to contribute out there.
And we love that.
I love that. Well, I'll tell you something. You were saying, like it is boring as a cutter, in a zone offense. There's actually a way you can get around that. What you do is while you're cutting, you move to the handler spot and then you just stay there.
Okay, I feel like that sounds like a Masters player thing. You're like, oh, it's too much work.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what?
Every
Handling
time.
in a zone is way harder than cutting in a zone in terms of running. So usually people want to actually end up popping or being kind of a cutter in a zone if they're lazy like Clay.
That huge pull by Briantes. She's been looking for that edge all day to stay in, and that allows Vortex's zone to come down immediately. But Manitoba able to move it quick. Friesen. That's gobbled up.
Nice
by
fast break here.
Backup receiver. Tar, I think, and that's up high to Friesen, but just off of her hands. But now, like in this tricky corner, like you've talked about, Payne back on the field after that earlier injury, just lets a backhand loose. This is shallow and into double coverage. Tar.
Russell. Sorry.
Oh, Russell, pardon me, looking for options. Great grab and save by Burns. Looking for options, goes for the break around. That pass just a little inside up the shoulders, not in the same momentum kind of direction as the receiver. Briantes picks up, fakes a big backhand huck, goes for it anyway. Russell's got the read, but it's too high and just bounces off the hands of Gutierrez. Russ. Russell had Tar. Tar jumped. Her left foot landed on the blue line first. Observer Saint-Jacques calls that out
A
immediately.
bit confusing because when the player did look down, their feet weren't on the line, but they definitely landed on the line when they caught the Frisbee.
Aquino finds Briantes. Briantes with a second flick break. Vortex utilizing that break side. Goes for another to Briantes. That was from Mercado, and it's a goal. That's a break, upwind, big celebration from Vortex. That is a huge point to get with these conditions, Danny.
All right, we now have score 8 for Vortex, 5 for Manitoba. So Vortex on a little bit of a run again. We've now seen another goal being scored kind of up this direction. What are you sensing from the wind right now? Do you feel like it's changed?
Yeah, it's definitely not constant as it was at the beginning of the game. Looking around at some of the trees, I mean, it's still there.
It's up there up higher.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it. So maybe this, this hard side, as we've been seeing this game, won't be so relevant this half. And at the tournament, just due to the weather conditions, there has been a water break rule instituted. So after several points, they kind of extend the time between poles by about, I believe it's 45 seconds. So you can see both teams are just getting in the shade, getting some water. And that is a tournament rule. That's not as if the captains or coaches agreed on that. That was decided by our competition director, Dean Wright. And we got to give a shout out to Dean right now.
Yes, we do.
He kind of a legend in Manitoba Ultimate, as this Manitoba program was started by him.
In, guess what year?
1994.
1998, pretty close. So
you told me, and I forgot.
What's cool about this game in particular is that both of these teams have existed for such a long time. So Vortex is in its 19th year as a program, and they used to be called MoFo. So Team Manitoba has been around, I can't even math, 25 years? What is that? Something like that. So I think that's very rare for teams to have existed that long. All the teams in Vancouver, they've kind of rebranded, they've kind of gone through different managements and stuff like that. But these two teams have been around and have been high impact teams for a long, long time. And so the fact that we know Dean Wright was one to actually start this team was pretty cool. They were also inducted into the Hall of Fame. So Team Manitoba, formerly known as Masters of Flying Objects, Team MoFo, they were inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2017 and have won 9 national titles as a program.
Wow.
Has Vortex ever won a national title? Do you know of? I know they've been in the finals a few times.
I unfortunately don't remember.
I feel like
something we can follow up on with their coaches. That ball lands in, stays in bounds, so it's going to have to be fielded right on the sideline in the end zone. Russell looking for options. Vortex kind of comes down with a loose zone, really willing to let Manitoba swing the disc to that open side and then put up these throws. That's gobbled up. There's a collision, a foul. I unfortunately was looking at the disc. Oh, we have an injury.
Yeah, it's tough when the disc pops up like that to know. Sometimes we call those hospital passes for a reason. So I don't mean to say that like that, but when the Frisbee does go up like that, it is hard because bodies are kind of crashing into each other. Everybody's trying to play on the disc. The disc kind of flies over top of people's heads. So you do often see a lot of injuries kind of happen in those scenarios. So it's unfortunate that it happened at this exact moment as well. But it is hard to call fouls in those circumstances because it's just, there's a lot of bodies gathering into one space.
Yeah. Luckily, everybody involved, everyone's clapping, and with support from both teams, we'll be able to get going. I imagine there'll be a bit of discussion on if there was a call in that play or not, because I did see before the injury went down that there was a signal for a foul call. So yes. I'm a little curious to see what the ruling is here, but
the foul coming from a player that wasn't injured.
That's right. So observers Linda and Dominic there to sort this out with the players who seem to be working it out by themselves, which you'd love to see first.
Yeah, give them an opportunity to resolve the conflict on their own. If they can't resolve in a certain amount of time, the observers can step in. They also need to resolve it with the observers in a pretty quick period of time. Generally speaking, I think the rule is like 45 seconds.
Yeah, it is. So the foul was, I believe, contested, and it's going back to the thrower. And we have another over the top. Payne and Friesen battling for it. Payne's able to win that battle. Finds Briantes. Kino. Looking for Briantes. Sorry, Briantes, pardon me, looking for Payne, finds her. The zone wall really preventing that break side. And I imagine that will be a strip foul call.
Now, the difference between the strip and a regular foul is that the person is saying that they caught it and the person took it out of their hands.
Yeah, that was McIntyre made that call, and Russell seemed to agree with her immediately. Vortex flowing into the vertical stack end zone. You can see Briantes pointing, as she often does, to direct traffic. But that throw a little too low, really looking for that cross-field throw all the time. But, oh, big block by Wongo. I heard that over here.
Felt it even.
And Briantes is able to punch that in to McIntyre. And Vortex with another break.
They seem to be holding all of the momentum at this moment. But we have seen from Team Manitoba that they know how to get themselves back into this game. They are still making great plays. They are still bringing a lot of pressure and causing Vortex to turn the disc over quite a bit. They just need to kind of relax a little bit, start having a bit more fun again.
So like we said earlier, I would say that hard to easy side win thing we were talking about, it's not totally gone, but it's definitely not at the severity it was earlier. We've got a few gusts here. It's still as hot as it was when the game started. Turf is hot, but the sun continues to blare. We see the players, their sideline. It was funny before we started, Danny. I was kind of hoping we'd have this whole sideline so you and I could watch. And, you know, and some of the players were like, well, we want to be over there to support our team and work both sidelines. And I'm like, yeah, but we need to be able to see. And now they're all in the shade. And I'm like,
jealous.
I think I fell on the wrong side of that, literally.
Know. Hey, well, our feet are getting a great tan over here.
That is true.
Yours are, you've been working hard today.
I've been here a long time. I've got a lot of turf everywhere.
Well, thank you for setting it up so we could bring you all of this wonderful action here on this sunny summer evening.
So that pull will sail out of bounds. And Herms comes to field it. And we'll run it out to the middle, seeing a match defense here by Vortex and a vertical stack from Manitoba, something we haven't really seen in the middle of the field yet from either team. Herms gets the jam path to Muth, puts that up to Hargraves. Hargraves gets it back to Muth. And she'll take a dump pass, and that's a great grab by Enerson. Trying to work that break side, steps into that defensive mark who was pretty close and seemed to only step sideways to try and stop it, so had to eat that contact.
Yeah, as a mark, you have to allow the person to be able to pivot and step and throw. You have to back up.
Stall one. Enerson looking for options from the stack. Quick dish to Herms, who finds Muth immediately, and that just bounces off her hands. So Kino picks up. Gets it to the middle. Gets it right back. Aquino signaling that she wants someone going deep. Fakes it. Now directing traffic. Finds Ospaz. She points immediately go. And Ma, who's been so active this game, makes a huge bid, and it's just off her hands. Herm seemed to seal her out pretty well there, but great last-ditch effort by Ma to get her hands on that. Just doesn't reel it in. Graham looking for options. Gets it back to Herms. Muth. Doesn't have anything off the stack right away. And that goes off the hands of Enerson. Vortex now in a great position for another break, and especially on a side that's been hard to score on today. Gutierrez picks up. Seems to be a discussion between her and her mark. And we're back in.
Maybe a violation there, but that's okay.
Yeah. Finds the around for a subsequent quick one. So Wood finding who I believe was Natu, number 19, with the goal.
Score now 10-5. Vortex scoring, I think, almost every goal out of this half.
I believe Manitoba got it one, and that was that break. No, that 0 point right off the hop. But now
there's been a timeout called for our team Manitoba. I'm going to ask you the classic commentator question.
Okay.
Which makes me cringe whenever I hear it because it happens every time. If you are coaching Team Manitoba right now, Clayton, what would you be saying to your team during this timeout?
I don't think that I'd be telling them that we need to make any fundamental adjustments because, frankly, at the beginning of the game, that's when their fundamentals were the weakest.
Yeah.
Right? So I also think that throughout the game, when I said at the beginning, I wanted them to look left, meaning I wanted them in that zone to look break side, stop looking upfield, stop looking open, just look break and work for it. And they've done that. Right? And now I think it's simply a dig deep. We're seeing players out there like really battling. We're getting some collisions. We're getting some blown tires. We're getting some miscues, but it's not anything that's ill-advised anymore. Maybe a few of those big over-the-top sideways kind of blady throws, but it's just who is putting in that extra little bit of effort to get that errant throw to bring that in. So right now I'm thinking is just reminding your players, just play the game you know how, and really, really put in that extra effort.
Yeah, I kind of want to see Team Manitoba boosted a bit more. Like they have the speed, they have the height, they've shown that they can make some great grabs in the sky. And I kind of want to see them utilize that a little bit more because sometimes the times that you miss it. But the times that you make it, sometimes that's like putting your teammates in a position to make a big play is all you need for momentum shift. I'm going to will them with my brain power to boost it now.
So Woods' pull. It's picked up in the middle as Vortex comes down in zone. Ashley with a quick dish. And then Manitoba able to find a hole to Manish, whose pass was a little too low. While Friesen made a good effort, I think that bounced first.
It bounced before it bounced the second time,
yeah.
too. Yeah, I agree.
Woods. Looking for options, doesn't get them, is now saying, hey, bail me out here, teammates. She elects to go over the top to Nantabong. Back to Woods. Ooh, a little bit of contact. Accidental. Both players figure it out. And a good read by Russell. Able to bring it in. And she finds Boyda. Back to Russell. Doesn't like the up the line cut. Instead finds Manish. Back to Russell. And she's able to punch it in past the defensive effort of Vortex to, I guess we'll say, a player. I'm not sure who, as Manitoba is just getting a big celebration. That's that energy we're talking about that we want to see out of them right now.
Absolutely. When your teammates score and everyone's rushing the field, that's just good vibes. You're excited. You don't feel as tired anymore. It definitely helps a lot. So I'm absolutely loving that they brought that energy. They got one of those more upwind ones. I am feeling a little bit more wind again. I know we talk about the wind a lot, but there is a little bit more wind happening right now. So we have Manitoba back on the scoreboard again. We're kind of running out of some time. We have a cap. Our soft cap is going to be going off at 6:55. So we're kind of within 30 minutes of the game ending. So we had 18 with the goal. So that's Tar. I mean, you keep saying Tar somebody else. So maybe we've given Tar a bunch of extra goals. But
no, I actually think I have not given Russell more than enough credit this game because I keep saying the wrong name.
One's 8, one's 18. So I do understand.
Yeah.
We can't see amazingly from here. Vortex bringing a lot of energy. You can see probably from your screen that there's lots of signs and everything happening. So trying to bring a lot of energy.
And Danny,
I might have actually had the time wrong. That's my bad.
Okay. It's kind of
I can't add.
Yeah, but it turns out we weren't let know, and we'll just give you this very climactic ending to this. But that's game.
Yeah, the cap was actually at 6:25.
So while Team Manitoba got that goal, Vortex with the win to start off our weekend. Go to your website that you went to today to get the stream link to see the schedule for tomorrow, including the stream schedule, or if you just want to follow along and see a team that might not be on the stream but want to see how they're doing. Results are updated basically right after the game, so you can keep track of how your favorite team is doing. Danny, is there anything you want to leave us off with before we sign off here?
Well, I do want to say that playing in a game like this in front of people and on a live stream is incredibly stressful. So I was very, very impressed with all the athletes on the field today for their performance. We saw so many great plays, so many bids. Now tomorrow, if you want to tune in at 10:30, this is PST, we have Manitoba Open versus Origin Open. At 12:30 p.m. PST, we have Helios Women versus Wicked East Women. At 2:30, we have Dino Open versus Titan Open. And at 4:30 p.m. PST, we have Origin Women versus Toro Women. Lots of action tomorrow. Clay, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Make sure you tune in, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye.